You're listening to the Whatchu Doin Wilmington podcast, your favorite podcast, highlighting the positive people, places, and things in the beautiful city of Wilmington, North Carolina. Hosted by Demia Avery. I see you, we see you, and it's great to be seen.
Hello, everyone. This is Demia Avery with Whatchu Doin North Carolina and WHQR. This podcast is designed to shed light on the positive people, places, and things here in the beautiful state of North Carolina. I see you, we see you, and it's great to be seen. So, y'all, we have one of our local favorites here in the house today. I say local, but he is so much more than that. He is an independent film director, producer, curator, founder and president of Speller Street Films. His debut documentary, Wilmington on Fire, was released back in 2015, and he has not looked back since. Please welcome this year's North Carolina's Black Film Festival's award recipient, the multifaceted Christopher Everett. Welcome.
Hey, thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
Oh, it's no problem. So you've been kind of busy, huh?
Oh yeah, nonstop.
So how has life changed for you since the first documentary? So that's been a long time ago. So I know things has changed for you tremendously.
Yeah, it's been next year will be 10 years. Next year will be 10 years since we debuted the documentary at the Cucalores Film Festival in November of 2015.
Okay.
And since then, it's been nonstop, even for that film. Even though the film is going on 10 years, it still has energy. It still has life. People constantly screen it. People still engage with it. Engage with it in community screenings and events and stuff like that. I'm constantly doing stuff at colleges, universities, organizations, churches. Whatever it is. I'm constantly doing something with the film. But not only with that film. Also finishing up two to three other film projects as well. Plus, I'm the artistic director at the Southern Documentary Fund. So I'm always constantly working on, stuff with filmmakers and just the organization in general. And so it's a lot. I do a lot, but I'm having fun while I'm doing it.
So, okay. So we know that film has legs. It's still out there working, and you're doing so many different things. But for those who still may not know, if you don't mind explaining what was Wilmington on Fire about, because I want them to know kind of how you got your, I would say, your legacy for right now, right?
Right. Well, Wilmington on Fire was my first documentary film. And like I was saying earlier, we put it out in November 2015. But Wilmington on Fire really chronicles the history of the 1898 Wilmington massacre that happened in Wilmington on November 10th, 1898. And it really was one of the first examples of an actual overthrow of an existing government. A coup d'etat is what they, called it back then. And that's what happened here in Wilmington back in 1898. And so the documentary really documents that whole lead up to that, really shows what Wilmington was like back then. It was a thriving Black middle class that was here, a strong Black community that was making a lot of waves, not only in Wilmington, but throughout North Carolina. We were business owners, we were into politics, the whole nine. And Wilmington really was kind of looking like how Atlanta is now, where Black people really doing their thing and thriving. But it was all changed with this whole white supremacy movement back then that pretty much reversed all of that progress and really not only set up Wilmington for Jim Crow segregation, but the rest of the state as well. And, to me, the city has never really fully recovered from that event. And so that's why we wanted to do the documentary. That's why I wanted to do it. And that's what we did. And so the film is like 90 minutes long, and it captures all of that and tells the whole full story of the 1898 massacre. We feature historians, scholars, activists, people that have written books on the topic, and also we have several direct descendants of some of the victims of the 1898 massacre as well. And if people want to see it, we have it exclusively on Quelle TV at the moment. Quelle TV, QuelleTV.com is an exclusive type of thing we're doing with the film. It's a Black-owned streaming service. I've been working with them for several years now. We all went out to Afrotech in Texas last year and did a big screening of my film and a few other films that are on Quelle TV. And so I like what the sisters are doing. Someone has to take the first step in doing these type of things, because we talk about it all the time. We need a Black this, we need Black that, but
Right.
people won't step up and really try to support it and make it happen. So I said, you know what? Let me put this film on her platform, elevate this sister, and really bring this type of content to our community.
Love it. I love the giving back situation. Now, there is, it has evolved since then, because there's a Wilmington on Fire
Too.
2, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So is that more just more historians and things like that talks more about the film, or talks more about what has happened back then? What is that about?
Well, Wilmington on Fire Chapter 2, we're about 80% done. We're in post-production right now, finishing up the editing and all that good stuff, making it look right and tight. But Wilmington on Fire Chapter 2 is just going to be the last film in the whole Wilmington on Fire series for me. And it's a whole new approach. The first one, like I was telling you earlier, we deal with all history, 1800s to, the 1890s. But Wilmington on Fire Chapter 2, it's a 2-year look into Wilmington today. So we document Wilmington and all the stuff that was happening in the town 2020 to 2022. And so we're capturing what was going on during the pandemic, the murder of George Floyd, a whole bunch of stuff, new people moving to the area, all different type of initiatives that was happening. And I wanted to do it different than keep talking about history all the time. Like, with the first film, we talk about the history. Now, what are we going to do? We're living in 2020, and 2021. What are we going to do to really go ahead and reverse these effects of the 1898 massacre? And so I wanted to document, several individuals that were doing some amazing things in the community, whether it's through entrepreneurship, grassroots activism, education, politics, all of that, and really show the different changes of the faces of change that was happening in this 2-year period in Wilmington, and also showing our community and how our community, we have to solve our own problems. It's not going to be perfect, but we have to do that, and we have to solve our own problems. So it was really showing that aspect of the Black community and how there's hope, and there's light at the end of the tunnel for the city of Wilmington.
Now, are you receiving a lot of positive feedback since, especially after this second one, with the, what are we going to do now? Are you getting some positive feedback especially from the community in Wilmington?
Oh yeah. I think the community they're really waiting for this film to come out. I think, we built up a nice grassroots audience and movement with the first one. It's been 10 years, and we're going to just do that same thing when the second one is ready to come out. We want to do a totally grassroots and independent effort throughout Wilmington and throughout the state, like we did with the first one. We went all across the state with this thing several times, in all the communities, whether it's Durham, Fayetteville, Goldsboro, Asheville, Charlotte, Greensboro, even where I'm from, Laurinburg, Lumberton. We did a whole bunch of community outreach initiatives, and we want to do the same thing with part 2, not only in North Carolina, but several places throughout the country as well, where we build up audiences with the first one.
Love it. So I know you're working on that right now. Are you working on any other projects as well? Because I see your face everywhere around here. So I said, I said, I don't know how he does it all. So I know you're working on other things. What exactly are you working on as in addition?
Well, like I said, Wilmington on Fire Chapter 2, almost done with the editing of that. We're also in the editing stages of another documentary that I actually started on right after I finished the first Wilmington on Fire film. It's a film called Grandmaster, the Vic Morse story. It's a martial arts documentary, totally different than
I wanted to ask you about that. You're really into the martial arts thing, aren't you?
That's my thing. I grew up, a martial arts guy, Chuck Norris, Bruce Lee, Wesley Snipes, John Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, those were my guys, growing up. And so I've always had a fascination with the martial arts. And as I gotten older, being able to do things on the martial arts has been really cool, especially tackling and showing martial arts in our community and its impact. Because a lot of times we would see things growing up And if it dealt with Black people in the martial arts, it was always something comical. Like on Martin, you had Black Belt, what Dragonfly, you know what I'm saying? You had
Right,
that
right,
type of
right,
deal, or you know what I'm saying? It was always some type of comedy type thing. It wasn't
right.
that serious. And then as I got older and learning about some serious Black martial artists,
Yeah.
when I had the opportunity to meet Grandmaster Moore, and he wanted me to tell his story, we did it. It's been like about 6 years. We filmed for like 6 years. And so now we did a couple of test screenings a couple of months ago for Black History Month. Got a lot of good feedback. And so now we're just tightening up everything. But that's going to be available like early fall. We're going to
Okay.
start with some screenings of that because he'll be 81 in August. I want to give him his flowers while he's still here. I think a
Yeah.
lot of times we don't do that as a community. We wait until they pass away and then we want to give them their flowers. But I want to give his brother his flowers right here, right now, because he's contributed so much to the sport of martial arts and just the martial arts culture in general.
Yeah.
And a lot of these brothers and sisters back then did a lot for this culture of martial arts. They just never got their credit or due. And so that's what I'm trying to do is to shed light on this brother. He's right here in North Carolina as well and still teaching to this day.
Mm.
And so he's excited. He's excited about
Yeah.
it. You should have seen him at the test screenings we did. And so it was a way for people to kind of meet him and engage with him. So that's one of the big projects that we're really excited about right now. We're excited about Wilmington on Fire too, but this one is very different. You don't really see a lot of films that deal with martial arts in our community. And so I'm ready to get that out and just see how the community, receives it.
So, where do you usually have your screenings? Are there certain places in town, or I guess out in the Cape Fear region that you usually have your screenings?
We screen wherever. We screen wherever. We rent out movie theaters,
Mm.
cultural centers. We partner with organizations who have access to certain venues. So whether it's colleges or universities, your typical regular movie theaters that you go see the big blockbuster movies at, we screen there. Cultural centers, museums, art gallery spaces, micro movie cinemas, you name it, wherever you can screen something at, we've even done outdoor screenings. We've done outdoor screenings of Wilmington on Fire at like Portia Hines Park a few times, and so you can screen your film anywhere. There's no excuse of not having a place to screen your movie. Now with technology and everything, you can actually screen your film wherever and whenever.
Mm. So let me ask you this: with all the different accomplishments that you had in the past 10 years, all the different accolades that you have, all the different just experiences that you had overall, directing and producing, if you had to pick, I know this is going to be a hard question, what were some of your big wins that you had? If you had to pick like one or two of your big wins, what would you say that would be?
I would say with Wilmington on Fire,
Mm.
the biggest thing with that was when the film was mentioned. So a few years ago, I think it was the summer of 2019, how the topic of reparations is real big now.
Yeah.
But I know back in 2019, it was huge. And so Congress, they actually had a congressional hearing on reparations in the summer of 2019. Dr. Julianne Malveaux, professor, economist, and historian in her own right, she actually saw my film and reached out and said, "Man, I loved your film. I've been doing some research on the 1898 massacre. I'm a huge fan." And I didn't know she was going to be presenting at this big congressional hearing on reparations. And this thing was huge.
Yeah.
Um, Everybody was streaming. It was all on all the major news outlets because this is the first time in history something like this was happening.
Yeah.
CNN, it was on CNN, MSNBC, all the major Fox News, even online streaming as well. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? It was a big deal. And so I'm at work, at home, on my lunch break, eating some oodles and noodles, just on Facebook chilling. And I had it popped up, on streaming, you know what I'm saying, while I'm just playing around
Yeah.
on my lunch break. And then Dr. Malveaux was up there speaking. And, she giving her presentation. And then she said some key words. She said, "I want to urge everyone to watch the film Wilmington on Fire. Wilmington on Fire is a great example of what we're trying to do and why reparations is needed. It's an excellent film. Everyone needs to see it."
Your
So
mouth was sitting there open, wide open, like, oh my
I was like,
God.
"Oh snap!" And as soon as she did that, because like I said, the world was watching. As soon as she said those words, everyone was tagging me on social media. Say, Chris, I just heard you mention on reparations, and
Yeah.
everyone and all these DVD orders started coming in.
Mhm.
People were buying the film like crazy. Streaming numbers was coming up.
Oh,
People tagging
nice.
across social media. I think that was it. I said, yo, this is what we wanted to do. And
Yeah.
I was the only one mentioned, film-wise.
Wow.
Spike Lee. It wasn't all these big time film people. It was little old me with my little project that
Wow.
really, was the only film that was mentioned during that whole 4 or 5 hour hearing. And I think that was probably like my biggest, like, wow moment was that. And it's like, man, this is what it was all about. And it also showed the power of you don't have to have the major studios backing you. You don't
Mm.
have to have all this. You just have to just be consistent
Yeah.
and just have a straight message and really go to the grassroots and really build it up. And that's how we did it. And that's how we will continue to do it.
So what did that do for your career? Because that's major.
Oh yeah. It led to a lot of opportunities, more interviews. I've been interviewed on some big outlets,
Yeah.
BBC News, IndieWire, The New Yorker did a story on me years ago. I actually got a small role on a TV show. It was like a paranormal investigative show called The Dead Files.
Yeah.
Had reached out. We did that a couple of years ago, actually. And so the Dead Files is about it's a paranormal investigator team. It's a retired detective and a paranormal reader. And so they go, they get requests. People say their house or their building is haunted. They got to investigate, make sure it's thorough. And then someone in Wilmington, requested. And so they came to town. Usually when they go to a certain town, they look into the backstory, the history. And they kept bringing up 1898, and they reached out to me and said, love to have you on the show. And I said, I'm down, let's do it. And so
Yeah.
I recorded my segment, and it was cool how they put it together. They showed clips of the documentary
Yeah.
and had me in there engaging with the detective and me, uncovering archival stuff, all the stuff I researched. And so that was fun. That was a fun type of opportunity to have. And like I said, a lot of these opportunities I never thought in a million years, being from Laurinburg, a lot of these opportunities I would think that I would have to move to New York or LA. But I've
Right.
been doing it right here in North Carolina. Meeting people like Erica Alexander from Living Single. She's interviewed me about my film, and she's a fan of my work. And it's crazy just that people that I grew up and admired, and I'm huge fans, and then hearing that they're fans of what I do. Like I said, in a million years, I never thought that I would be experiencing these type of things or going to these type of places or even being in conversation with these type of individuals also.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the North Carolina Black Film Festival. So I know you have a big part in that, and then you have a big passion for that. So what does this festival, what does it mean to you?
Well, we have to support our arts. The arts is very important. I'm always trying to contribute to the culture and arts in our community as well. And so it's very important. We have to support the arts all the way through, whether it's painting, film, music, poetry, writing, all of it,
That's
saying
right.
plays. We got to support our cultural arts in our cultural institutions. And so, that's why I volunteer, and help the Black Film Festival as much as I can. Plus, my wife runs it, so I got to help my wife out and I got to support her too. So it's supporting her and also just supporting, Black arts, Black film, and I know it's important for Black filmmakers to have platforms like this to showcase their work, to network with other like-minded individuals, and also a way to just fellowship and just celebrate, Black creativity and Black culture.
Now you're winning an award. What is the award, and how do you feel about winning this award?
Yeah, well, it was a total surprise
Yeah.
to me when they said, Chris, we want to give you this award. But it's the 2024 Trailblazer Award for my work
That's
in documentary.
amazing.
And so a lot of people, know me just for Wilmington on Fire. They don't realize that I produced other films, narratives, other documentaries. Also my work at the Southern Documentary Fund as well as artistic director. And we've been involved in some heavy documentaries that I had a lot of involvement with. We give out grants every year. I've given out, close to $500,000 in a couple of years in grants to Southern makers. I helped revitalize our annual Southern Documentary Conference, which is next month as well, June 7th through the 9th, downtown Durham. If folks are interested in that, they can check that out too.
Okay.
just rebuilding and revitalizing Southern Documentary Fund as a whole. I've played a big part in that over the past couple of years.
Mm.
Also, and so we've had major projects like the Little Brother hip hop documentary. Little Brother is a legendary hip hop group from Durham. Even people like Drake and others have praised them over the years that they were inspired by this group. But we were heavily involved in their documentary. It just came out last year. We gave them a grant a couple of years ago. The filmmaker, I mentored him a lot as well through this process. And so mentorship is a big thing for me. And so I've helped a lot of documentary makers, regardless of race,
Hmm.
over the years, because I just love our stories in the South.
Yeah.
I love representing the South fully
Yeah.
and to the utmost. And so that's why I love what the Southern documentary does for the community, because it really focuses on Southern documentaries in the South and Southern makers that are living here. So you don't have to move to LA or New York. There's nothing wrong with those places, but the South is where it's at. Is the quality of life to me is better, the weather's better, and the stories are here. We just
The
gotta.
food is better. No.
No, it is. It is. I've been to some of these other places. I'm like, man, because I remember one year I had a tour set up. Right, it was
Uh-huh.
all February. I had like a Wilmington on Fire tour. Had like
Mm.
4 screenings in North Carolina. Had to fly to Detroit for a screening. Then had to fly to LA for a screening. Then I came back to Georgia for a screening.
Mhm.
Soon as I got to Georgia, they took me out to this soul food spot. I said, oh man. I don't know how much it's been. I've been on the road for 2 weeks. I
Yeah.
couldn't find nothing decent in none of these other places. But as soon as
Yeah.
I got to the South, oh man, it was on.
It was on.
But
Now
yeah, so
this.
those are some of the things, that I've
Yeah.
done over the years that's
Mhm.
outside of the realms of Wilmington on Fire. Yeah, Wilmington on Fire has made a huge contribution into the community, but I've kind of done some stuff outside of that as well. And I think that's really what the award really encompasses.
So you mentioned hip hop. Now we cannot talk about the NC Black Film Festival this year's without talking about the Wu-Tang
Yeah.
situation. So how excited are you about Wu-Tang being are they premiering their documentary? Or is this the premiere or they're just actually just showing?
It's the South premiere, it's the Southern premiere. So
Okay.
the Wu-Tang Experience live at Red Rocks Amphitheater. It's a new documentary on the Wu-Tang Clan and RZA's vision that he had a couple of years ago. So RZA is always thinking outside the box, always thinking creatively with things and how to just expand and elevate the Wu-Tang Clan brand. And so he decided to put together a very different type of concert, just a standard hip hop concert. He
Mm,
wanted to combine the different musical forms, the hip hop side with them, and also the Colorado Symphony Orchestra, and
mm,
really combine these two genres of music and do something really fly for their fans and the audiences around the world. And so it's really about that whole process of him putting this thing together, the
mm.
Wu-Tang Clan kind of coming together and working with the Colorado Symphony Orchestra to put together just and one of the most iconic moments ever in hip hop history of combining these two genres of music. And then also while that's going on, you got 36 Chambers of Shaolin, the legendary Kung Fu flick playing in the background on the jumbo screen. So you see in the film, you see in the orchestra, you seeing Wu-Tang do their thing throughout the night, but also going to show you the backstory of Wu-Tang Clan, how they came, the Wu-Tang Clan, RZA's vision with working with the orchestra. You get interviews from people from the orchestra as well, and
Mhm.
also several members of the Wu-Tang Clan. But this film actually premiered at Urban World Film Festival in New York, I think like last October, November. Then
Okay.
it screened at the Lincoln Center in New York. Then it's screened at Pan African Film Festival in LA. Now it's screening with us. And so we're kind of like the fourth stop, the last stop
Okay.
before we actually put this thing out to the general public. So
Oh,
Wilmington is
nice.
getting something. Like I said, this is why I try to do what I do. It's always been about bringing these cultural experiences that you would only really see them in New York,
Yeah.
LA, now Atlanta, Chicago, places like that. These type of experiences rarely come to North Carolina.
Hmm.
That's why I try to do what I do, is to help bring these type of things to our community where we can have the same thing. Like, man, I would have to go to New York to really experience this, but they
Yeah.
bring it in here to me. And so that's why I think it's important for people to support, so we can continue to do these type of things and bring these cultural experiences right here in front of us and right here to our community.
So what is next for Speller Street Films? Because I hear you talk about bringing everything back to the Wilmington community and I guess the Cape Fear region. Um, and I'm also hearing that you're bringing big things back here. Do you want to eventually do this whole, you know how Tyler Perry has this whole studio type situation? Is that something that you aspire to or anything like that?
Oh, for sure, for sure. But I forgot to add one last thing
Yeah.
about the Wu-Tang. So yeah, definitely the Wu-Tang Clan, a Wu-Tang experience live at Red Rocks Amphitheater. Come check that out. That's going to be the opening night film at the
Mhm.
North Carolina Black Film Festival, Thursday, May 16th. Cinema Mixer reception, 6 to 7. Then 7 to 9 is the film. Then also we're going to have a special Q&A with one of the co-directors,
Mm.
Gerald Barclay, and also Capadonna, who's a member of the Wu-Tang Clan. He's also in the film. He'll be there as well. And so both of those brothers are going to give us a Q&A post-film discussion where you can ask your questions to them and chop it up with them as well about the film or just being in the Wu-Tang Clan in general. But
That's
yeah,
amazing.
I want to throw that in there. But
No,
also,
no, throw it all
yeah,
in there. Throw it on
no,
there. We want to know because when I even talked about the whole to people that's not even living here in the area, they were like, "Are you kidding me?" You know, when I start talking about the whole Wu-Tang documentary and things like that. So that's exciting news. But go ahead and I really want to know what the Speller Street Films,
yeah. But moving
what is the
forward,
dream?
yeah, well, with Speller Street, we're going in several different directions. One, we're going to continue to make those award-winning, hard-hitting documentaries about our history and culture, especially in the South. So we're going to always continue to do that. That's why we were created. But we are expanding outside of that. We're actually producing festivals. We had a lot of involvement with the North Carolina Black Film Festival this year of helping produce and getting some of those screenings to the festival. We also produce another documentary. It's actually going to turn into a festival next year. It's called Black Docs. And we're one of the main producers behind that. And Black Docs has been a really cool thing where we partnered with the Luminal Theater to do it. And it's a way to help grow and cultivate a documentary culture in the African American community through screenings, workshops, and other special events and engagements. And so I think one of our biggest programs we did to date with Black Docs, we partnered with Cedric Harrison of Support the Poor and Wilmington in Color Tours. He was
Hey,
doing,
Cedric.
he did a big event last year, Reparations Week, last October, and we were heavily involved with helping them get those type of films for his event. The biggest one we had was that we brought the unreleased Wilmington 10 documentary here. The film has never been released, and the Academy, the people that put on the Oscars, they recently did a 4K restoration of it, and we worked with the Academy and also the Haile Gerima estate. Haile Gerima, he's the guy that directed the film. So we've been working in tandem with the Academy and his estate to do these type of screenings, and we brought it to Wilmington, and we had the last three surviving Wilmington 10 members at that screening. We had Ben Chavis was there, Willie Vereen, and Wayne Moore, and they participated in the Q&A. And it was their first time even seeing the film as well. And this film was made like back in the 70s. So you get to see Wilmington, how Wilmington looked back in the 70s. You saw these brothers, they were like 19, 20 back then, young men.
Yeah.
For them to see it, man, and they just really loved what we did and gave us our props for even being able to accomplish that. And
Yeah.
so we're currently now working with the estate and the Academy to set up some more screenings. We got some coming up in Chicago. We're going to do another one in Wilmington this summer, DC, New York as well. And so those are some of the initiatives that we're doing and expanding. We also produce a very cool hip hop festival. It's called Three Chambers Fest. And
Okay.
we produced that last year, the first one. And it's pretty much a combination of hip hop, martial arts, and anime culture, kind of combined together. We do usually like a hip hop concert. We do a thing called Can I Kick It with my guys out of DC called Shaolin Jazz. And that's where we take like an action film or a classic Kung Fu flick and we remix the score live using hip hop music. So you're watching the film, but you're going to hear a whole new soundtrack over top of it. You know what I'm saying? Like hip
Yeah.
hop, stuff like that. And then we usually have like an anime party and all that cool stuff, Tai Chi classes. So we're going to do that. We're gearing for that for December of this year for
Okay.
that. And so, doing more of that type of stuff, continuing with that. And, we're thinking about actually expanding outside of doing documentaries. We have a couple of narrative films in the works. We just finished up a narrative feature. It's like an action thriller type of film. I haven't made the announcement yet, but I'm one of the main producers on it. We're finished with it. And we're actually going to be rolling that out soon. I'm thinking about actually doing a screening here in Wilmington in the next couple of months to see what people think about it. But I'm expanding my stuff outside of documentaries. So I'm starting to produce narrative works now. And I know you recently had my man BK on. He's been a mentor of mine as well. Huge influence on what I'm trying to do because that brother's in Virginia and doing it. I was like, man, I don't have to move to New York. I can be right here. Like my man, what BK is doing in Virginia, I can do the same thing in North Carolina. So he's been a huge inspiration to me and a mentor to me as well. And so I want to continue to build like he's building. And so that's what we have in the works.
I love it. And I also think that you should probably venture out into doing talk shows, sort of like the one like What You Do in Wilmington. Wink, wink. No, I'm just
Now I should have brought that up. I should have brought that up because even at the Southern Documentary Fund, not only do we support documentary film, we also support podcasts, audio documentaries as well. So I've been actually helping to grow that side of Southern Documentary Fund, and I'm actually thinking about exploring what, like you were saying, some audio things and possibly.
see, I was just
Definitely
kidding. I
talk.
was just kidding, but hey,
Definitely
I'm
talk.
down for it.
Yeah. Sure. No, it's all media. It's all the same. You telling
Yeah,
stories. We definitely need more media outlets. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
right.
So not only just the films, we need the shows, we need the podcast, we need it all.
That's right. That's right. Now, how can people find you on social media, online? How can people find you?
Oh, hit me up. IG, I think is the best thing for me. I love Instagram. So IG, my personal Instagram, Speller Street Chris, Speller Street Chris. Some of the films that we're working on, like Wilmington on Fire, is all, at Wilmington on Fire. Grandmaster, the Vic Moore story, is at GM Documentary. Three Chambers, that's Three Chambers Fest. Black Docs, that's BLKDOCS. And so you
Yeah.
can follow that. So those are some of all the things that I'm working on. Also, if you want to check out the Southern Documentary Fund, it's Southern Doc Fund on IG, southernDocumentaryFund.org. If people out there that have an interest in doing documentaries, email me. Just hit me up. It's Chris at southernDocumentaryFund.org. That's a part of my job, is to talk to filmmakers, whether you got questions about your film, thinking about doing something with SDF, hit me up. That's a part of my job. I love to cultivate those relationships and also help you in your journey of doing documentaries. Because it's tough. It's a tough road of making a documentary. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done. And you need a community to help you get through some of those things, especially if you're just starting out and
Yeah.
don't know what to do or who to talk to or how to put together a film. It's always good to talk to someone who's been there and ran over the potholes to help you, kind of navigate some of this stuff. So if anybody out there is interested in just documentaries or film in general, reach out to me. I love to network and connect and just mentor people. That's what I do. And also, again, check out the North Carolina Black Film Festival, May 16th through the 19th, Wilmington, North Carolina. May 16th, a Wu-Tang Experience. Come check out the documentary. Friday, they got a great lineup of films. I know that Friday night they showing the new Freaknik documentary, and they're going to have two of the producers that have Wilmington ties. Two of the producers will be there to talk about their involvement in getting this film together. And I think they're going to have a little mixer after that in Django's Playhouse backyard. Saturday is all day of some cool films. They got like family cinema from 10 to 12 that's free. Southern Documentary Fund, my organization that I work for, we're showing two films. One is called To Be Invisible. The other one is called How to Sue the Klan. That's executive produced by Ben Crump. The filmmaker would be there. We're still working on to see if Mr. Crump can come. But I should know in the next couple of days. But that's a project that I saw from the beginning. John Beater is an excellent documentarian, and we we're proud enough to be one of his sponsors for the Southern Documentary Fund and helping him with his project and mentoring him as well. And to see it finally on the big screen is going to be special for me as well. And then also we're going to be doing something with BK Fulton Saturday night. We're going to have a fireside chat with him, talk about his experience in the game, in the film industry, going from the corporate world to Hollywood and all those things in between. And also we're going to show his latest film that he produced, The Kill Room, starring Uma Thurman and Samuel Jackson. And then Sunday is going to be very special. We're going to be giving BK his award, the Renaissance Award, also the other award-winning films that have won in documentary and narrative and shorts and stuff like that. Then it's another excellent documentary, Art Beats and Lyrics. If you haven't been to an Art Beats and Lyrics show, you missing out. I went there 10 years ago in Charlotte. I think 8 Ball and MJG was performing there, but Art Beats and Lyrics is a hip hop art exhibit, the traveling hip hop art show where you go in there, you have your drinks, the DJs playing hip hop, you're seeing some dope fly Black art, and towards the end of the night, you have a hip hop concert, but like a hip hop artist that closes it out. And this is very cool. It's a cool experience. And then when I heard that they were doing a documentary on it, I said, we got to show this thing. And so that's going to be the closing film, May 19th at Cameron Art Museum, 3 o'clock. The director, Bill Horace, will be there. And also the founder of Art Beats and Lyrics, Jabari Graham, will be there as well. So you get to meet the man behind this and also the man behind the documentary as well for the Q&A. So get those tickets now, blackartsalliance.org.
Awesome. Awesome. So listen, I want to make sure I get all those links from you because I want to make sure that I post everything that you got, because I want everyone to support and to come out to get tickets, and also to support any of the film and documentaries that you have out there. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for the support. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's no problem. So listen, you guys, we want to thank Chris Everett for joining us today. He's a busy man. We're going to let him get back to his job. And listen, come back anytime you want to promote anything, or you just want to talk about what's going on with Speller Street Films. I'll be more than happy to put you on and we can talk about it. So anyways, we are out of here. Home is where the heart is. My heart is in North Carolina. Talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.